Welcome back, everybody, to Static Screen. This week's episode, Dawn of the Fanboy Rage. I am one of your hosts, Izzy, aka Israel Pacheco 89, and as you could tell by this intro, we'll be talking about Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Before we get into that, I'd like to introduce my co-host, the Lord X. What's going on, man?
I'm Batman.
At least we don't have that this time around. You got to get like a modulated.
Do
you bleed? You will. So yeah, man, this has been a long time coming. We talked about this movie in the old format of the Canuck podcast years ago when they announced this.
Oh yeah, like 2 years now we've been talking about this, essentially.
It's nuts. It's crazy. We're gonna get into this discussion. It's gonna be completely spoiler filled.
Yep.
We've warned you now. That is our.
Before we do dive into spoilers, how about just a general what we got? Spoiler free, yeah.
Okay, spoiler free.
Yep.
Disappointing. Very disappointing.
Well, for me, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. It's a movie.
Yeah, for me, it's disappointing, as we'll get into the spoiler sections, but just the non-spoiler section for now. There's so many good ideas, yet there's so many bad ideas that it conflicts. It's like the movie's fighting with itself. Funny enough, Batman v Superman. It's like two movies fighting with each other. Two writers, two scripts, whatever the case may be. But now that you've said you thought it was a movie, you enjoyed it.
Yep.
I enjoyed elements of it. Now, moving forward, this is going to be our complete spoiler section. You've been warned. That's our format moving forward in terms of the show. I don't know what you want to do. You want to go in chronological order in terms of what happened in the movie? Do you want to just go through the high points, the low points?
Well, let's talk about the stuff we did like first.
Okay, let's do that.
I know you're really down on the movie and everything. What was something that you really enjoyed about this movie? Like, you thought was good?
Ben Affleck. I liked him as Batman.
Yep, I agree with you.
The only thing I didn't like is that Batman kills in this.
And boy, does he ever. Yeah.
And this is not like, some of the movies, some of the games, you're like, okay, maybe that guy's alive, right? Maybe he just knocked him out, whatever. No, they're dead in this. Like, there's no way. There's no way these people aren't dead. Like, the whole scene with the Batmobile, with him just destroying everything, using the hook shot.
Oh my god,
it was awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
He killed so many people.
What I found like really amusing about that while watching it was he comes out first in the Batmobile, he rams that car, flips over onto that trailer, and you think, okay, the person inside of that, the people, they're probably hurt.
They're injured.
They got a concussion, something. They're gonna be fine. He turns the corner around, and he hook shots the thing and starts dragging it behind him, and it's tossing and turning. You're looking, watching, like, well, they're definitely dead now, especially when he unhooks them and they goes flying into the other car.
And then he just, he's using, all these guns and blowing stuff up, blowing vehicles up, just ramming through vehicles, going through buildings,
I will say this right now. I am fine with this for a reason, but I'll let you continue, with this right now. Your own opinion.
Keeping with the positive stuff, we just mentioned the Batmobile. The Batmobile was badass.
Yes.
I really like the design. I love the Batsuit. I love the more souped up version of the Batsuit.
Yep.
All that was fantastic. And that's what I'm saying.
He was intimidating too, like Batman should be.
This is the most horrifying version of Batman, with the branding stuff. He'll brand these people, and I was like, okay, go that far, but then he started killing people. I'm like, okay, he crossed that line. We'll get into that in a little bit, but same with the positive stuff. I thought he did, excuse me, still speaking about Ben Affleck, he did a damn good job as Bruce Wayne. He did a damn good job as Batman. I really like the voice modulation on his on his voice.
Yeah.
I should say. I don't know what I was thinking there,
Mhm.
but
You can understand them.
You could understand them. It wasn't the Christian Bale, where is she? Where's Rachel? Like, there was none of that. You could understand them, but it was still terrifying and intimidating. He bulked up for this movie. Like, Ben Affleck, he looked, like, really, like you said, intimidating. When he was in that suit, he was intimidating.
Yep.
Another thing, Gal Gadot, however you pronounce it, did a good job, in my opinion, as Wonder Woman. I had some reservations going into this movie. I thought she was going to be terrible. I thought she did a good job.
Yeah. I will be completely honest right now. I will eat my words and say I was wrong about the casting. I think she did an excellent job for as little of her that we did see.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was
impressed.
I have to say, I am impressed.
Henry Cavill, I loved him in Man of Steel. I really like him in this. Like I said, it's conflicted because they just have, in my opinion, the script is just, it's bad. But the people that they casted for this, for the most part, we'll get into that freaking Lex Luthor later.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, did a really good job. Let's see, what else did I really like? I liked Alfred.
Yes.
Jeremy Irons as Alfred was badass.
Oh my god. He was brilliant. Just like the little subtle things where he's like talking to him and then he'd say something under his breath.
Yeah, like a sly little comment, like, yeah, that's going to happen. Or and the way it looked like he was like an ex, military or British Secret Service, whatever the case may be.
And he was building the shit for Batman. He was like working on the suit.
He was basically like Lucius Fox and Alfred put into one, pretty much, because he was building the stuff, upkeeping the Batcave and all that. I thought he was cast very well.
Yep.
Amy Adams, I thought she did good too. I didn't have any problems with her in the previous movies. Pretty much the whole cast was good. It's just the script that I had issues with it and how things played out. I'm trying to think of what other positive things really stood out.
It looked good. The fight,
the visual effects,
was great.
Yeah. The fight scenes were really cool. Between like Batman v Superman, between them and Doomsday, like it looked, very cool.
Yeah. There was one part of that Doomsday fight which had me really smiling, and that's where Doomsday knocks Wonder Woman down for 1 second, and she goes to pick up her sword, and she's like smiling. It's like, this is a fight. I am enjoying this. I thought that was excellent for her character.
They were all kicking ass, which was cool. I'm trying to think. There was one other thing that I enjoyed about the movie. I'm trying to think. I can't think of it. I'll throw it over to you for now in terms of things that you liked about the movie.
Right. I was fine with like the overall movie itself. Like, it has pacing issues, and there's stuff in there that we didn't need, which we'll talk about now in a second. But I liked the acting. I loved Batman in this. Like, this is the Batman I have always wanted to see on the big screen. I've talked before, like, I'm not the biggest fan of Nolan's movies. I think this Batman and this movie in general is better than those Nolan movies. But hate me for that, people, but
Dawn of the fanboy rage.
But I love this Batman, and you were talking about the whole killing thing.
Okay, let's hear your theory on that.
I'm fine with this. Some other people have brought it up as well, and I agree with them completely. This is a Batman that has seen some serious shit. Like, we only, it's not developed very well in the movie, and we don't get to see it really well. But there's hints towards it. The Robin costume, when he looks at that and seeing the joke's on you, Batman, and stuff. And where he's talking about 20 years in Gotham. How many good guys are left? How many stayed that way? This is a Batman who has gone through a ton of trauma throughout his 20 years of being Batman. And the death of Robin, which is clearly implied here, probably pushed him over the edge, where he was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go all Punisher on these guys now, and I don't give a shit if they live or die. I'm just going to plow through them. What happens, happens. Because not once in the movie does he directly try to kill somebody. Like, he does not pick up a gun himself and start shooting people. Only in the dream sequence, which can be forgiven, because that's a whole different other fucking world he's dealing with there. But, yeah, this is a guy who stepped across the line, and at the end of the movie, where he... I don't want to go into that spoiler yet, but...
Yeah, we'll get into that.
He says something along the lines of, I'm not going to fail moving forward, where you see, like, this is maybe his kind of redemption of going back to his original morals of being Batman and not crossing that line, only teetering on it.
Yeah, and to be fair, he doesn't kill innocent people. Like, these are these are criminals. These are horrible people.
Yep.
But at the same end, I guess we could get into... I don't know. I'll let you continue on the stuff that you like before we start. At least I start criticizing the movie and piecing it.
Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed Wonder Woman. I enjoyed the performances. I think Amy Adams was great for the most part. I even liked Lex, to be quite honest with you. Oh, excuse me. I even liked Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor for the first half of the movie, where he was kind of sadistic in a way. Like, he had that creepy factor to him, which I thought was good. It kind of goes downhill in the last act, but other than that, I did like his performance. I did. Visually, the movie is stunning. Yeah, overall, like, I'm happy with it. I'm disappointed that some things happen, and yeah, why the fuck not? Let's just dive into the overall thing right now. And I know you've got a lot of rage come out, so I'll just say this for myself right at the beginning. The one big fault of this movie, which I will admit to, even though I didn't enjoy it, is that there's way too much going on. We have in this movie 4 movies going on, which could have been great movies by themselves. We have
100%.
We have a sequel to Man of Steel going on. We have a Batman movie going on. We have a Batman versus Superman movie going on, which is essentially The Dark Knight Returns.
Yep.
And we have a pre-Justice League movie going on here. All of which would have been awesome on their own. But they're all crammed into this 2.5-hour movie, which kind of pulls away from every single storyline. They're not fleshed out as good as they should have been.
Yep. Like, I already talked about one of my biggest gripes. One last positive thing before I move into that. I know a lot of people have been hating on how the Justice League was introduced in those sequences. First of all, we didn't talk about the flashback sequence. That was badass.
That was
when
really
Flash
cool.
came back through time. That was really badass.
Man, I will say this. I was so confused when that happened. I did not recognize that was Flash at all while I was watching it. I don't know if it was like the 3D and stuff going on at the time or I was tired, but I really did not. I thought it was Cyborg at first, to be honest with you.
Okay, yeah. Going into it, I told you I saw like Greg Miller's video on it. So he had, talked about the spoilers because I wanted to see it. So I already knew that going into the movie. How they showed like the other version of like modern Flash in like the convenience store. I thought that was clever.
Yeah.
I thought how they showed Cyborg was clever. The one I didn't like was Aquaman.
Yeah.
He just stood in front of the camera, which we'll get into the negative stuff.
It's like, hi, I'm Fabio.
What the hell? He's just like floating there in the water, like
all we should have seen was just the eyes glowing, a trident coming out, and then him bolting.
Exactly, smash. Or the trident, like this. All they had to do, they had to show the eyes like they did. See him coming out. He hits that camera with the trident, and then the other camera that was filming just sees him, going off. We don't need to have him standing in a ring looking like Roman Reigns lost in the middle of a promo.
Oh my God, he did look like Roman Reigns.
It looked like Roman Reigns when he forgets his lines in a promo. But like you said, there's so many movies crammed into this one film. It should have. I know you said like about 4 movies, even 2 movies it could have been done in, but way better pace. And there's like, I gotta say, the first like hour of this movie, probably, let me say, the first maybe like 5 minutes, that section where you see the little Bruce Wayne backstory and all that stuff, not really necessary.
No.
Everybody knows the origin of Batman. the stuff that was necessary was him in Metropolis.
Yep.
Trying to
That
save
scene was excellent.
trying to save people who worked in, the Wayne Tower, his employees.
Yeah.
That was awesome. But then there's this period after that until like 45 minutes later. It's just like a snooze fest. Like, it was boring. Like, I kept looking at the watch. I'm like, is this really happening? Like, it was so boring. It wasn't until they got to the party that they get invited to. Well, Bruce Wayne gets invited to. Superman, aka Clark Kent, gets invited to. That's when things start to pick up again, and then that's when they first see Diana, Wonder Woman, and that's when things start to pick up again. But there's like a section there of like 30 to 45 minutes that was useless. They really didn't need. It felt very overbloated. It's just like a missed opportunity, to be honest. And it, like you said, they just try to cram so much stuff in this movie. It's like, no, stop doing that.
Yeah.
And I know you said you like Lex. I didn't like Lex.
I said I liked him at the beginning. Near the
beginning,
end, he was starting to go really downhill for me. Though I did like how he made Superman go fight Batman. I thought that was good.
And we'll get into that in a little bit, but going, excuse me, a little bit like more. I'm trying to go like chronological in terms of like the negative stuff. Then we get like Lex Luthor. I think it was like extremely overacted, like over the top. Like, I don't know what they were trying to go for. At first, you think his motivation is this. By the end of the movie, you don't know what the hell he wanted to accomplish. Like, he just wanted to see these crazy people just go at it.
Did he want to kill Superman or did he want to kill Batman?
Did he want to kill both?
Yeah.
Did he want to take control of Metropolis and Gotham? Like, it's just like, what was he thinking? It made no sense. And then, like, you getting into like the later fight scenes and stuff. Like, Batman's fighting Superman, and all Superman had to say was like, hey, they got my mother. I don't want to fight you, but they have my mother in captivity. And he's asking me to bring back your head. And then they could have figured something out. But no, it takes Superman getting his ass whooped. He got his ass whooped because Batman was using the kryptonite like fumes. Essentially, he would throw like a pellet or whatever it is that Superman made a kryptonite, and that would weaken him. And he had to use it several times, and eventually he just starts whooping Superman's ass. And at the end, he has a staff with the kryptonite in it. He's about to kill him, then Lois comes in.
Well, no. Superman shouts out
he
first,
starts saying,
Martha!
Martha! And he's like, what? What did you say? And then he starts flipping out because, of course, Martha Wayne's his mother. Martha Kent is the mother of Superman. So that was kind of weird. And then Lois comes in and she's like, oh, that's his mother. And then he just has like this moment of like, oh, crap. Like, if that's all... It's like the motivation for all this stuff just doesn't make sense. Like, Batman's not that stupid. Like, it just seemed, and Superman's not that stupid either.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like the build up to this was the whole case around Superman, which the movie starts on, that he goes somewhere in Africa to save Lois Lane. They frame him. They say he killed a bunch of people in like a rural village in Africa.
He did kill one dude, though. There was no way that one guy was surviving.
And he killed all these people, but it was really a setup by Lex Luthor and Lex Corp. Those people were contracted by him to set him up, and then they have the whole sequence in the Capitol building, like and that was shocking that the building blew up. I wasn't expecting that when he was in there. That was pretty shocking that the guy who was putting the graffiti on the Superman statue, and Lex gave him a wheelchair. That blew up, and that killed everybody, and then they sabotaged him again. So it's like this whole narrative about Man of Steel, all the damage that he created and all that stuff. So at the beginning, you understand Batman's motivation for going after this guy, because you're like, he's got a point. Like, this guy is pretty much indestructible. He could do whatever he wants. He doesn't have any checks on him. But then Batman starts killing, so it was like, what the hell? What's your moral basis on if you're killing people and then you're pissed off that Superman's killing people? Like, it just broke the movie for me. I'm like, if you would have kept Batman the way he is, it would have made sense in the context of the film. And then they just go for this whole thing. It never really gets resolved either. Like him being... There's just so many ways they could have created a more interesting plot.
Yeah. I think, honestly, a lot of this...
There's so many plot holes.
Yeah, a lot of this could have made more sense if they had taken Marvel's approach and built up the characters separately first. Like, getting another solo Superman movie. Or not even that. Like, have a Batman movie where where we get all this build up, and then right at the end, we get that sequence of him in Metropolis during the attack, and that's how the Batman movie ends. That would have been perfect. And that
would have been perfect.
Yeah. But instead, we got everything crammed into this one movie to begin everything with. Honestly, like, the tapes showing the Justice League, even though, I did like the Flash one, like yourself, and the Cyborg one was pretty cool as well. Seeing that level of technology existing in this world, it was a nice little comic booky moment.
Yeah.
But we didn't need them there. Even if they were like an after credit scene would have been better. Which there is none, by the way.
There is no after credit scene. Like, the whole reason was the photo of Diana that Wonder Woman was looking for that was from like 1918 that Lex had in his servers. That's the whole reason Bruce Wayne goes to his house. I think we kind of overlooked that point.
Yeah.
While we're discussing it, but that's why Bruce goes over to find out information. But it's just like these characters are like, they're not very intelligent.
No.
Like, it doesn't make sense in the context of the movie. And then we get to like a section of the movie like Doomsday. Like, everything just goes to hell there. Like, Lex's motivations don't even make sense there. He gets access to the Kryptonian ship that had crash landed in Man of Steel in Metropolis, right? And he takes Zod's body. He takes, pieces of the fingerprint from Zod's body by using pieces of kryptonite to peel that off. Then that's how he gets access inside the Kryptonian ship. Then the AI from the original movie comes out and then just goes away like nothing. Like, oh, we're in a certain amount of power. Do you want to take over the ship? And he's like, yes. And it's like, the AI is so stupid that just using the fingerprints, it can't tell. But then it doesn't make sense, because then he gets in the water and he puts in, eventually, this happens later after he gets control of the ship. He puts Zod's body in there, so it knows what Zod's body is, and then he's in there too. And then he cuts his hand to mix his DNA with Zod's, and it tells you, oh, you're creating
even
this.
Even if we had like one little extra scene after he did the initial fingerprint thing, showing that, like, he is a separate entity and that he has taken control of the ship. Like, he's being recognized as a separate person.
Yeah, and then the ship notices this foreign object once he's in the water. So, but then the AI couldn't notice when he came in that those were somebody else's finger. It just doesn't. It just didn't make sense for me. It wasn't enough of a stretch for me to believe that he somehow got the fingerprints and he got access to all this information from the Kryptonian ship and all this stuff, and then somehow he knows to bring Zod's body there. That's completely overlooked. Like you said, they don't even explain it. Like, they just say, the AI tells him, oh, here's hundreds of years or thousands of years of Kryptonian information. He's like, oh, tell me all of it. What would he sit there? He sit there for 24 hours just listening to stuff? Like, it didn't make sense. And then he brings Zod's body there, cuts his hand to mutate it, and then the computer AI says something like, oh, this wasn't allowed back on Krypton, and then he says, we're no longer on Krypton, whatever, the Kryptonian regulations, and that starts creating the beast that becomes Doomsday. And then Doomsday gets created and then tries to take out Lex Luthor. The first thing he does, he goes to punch Lex Luthor. So what the hell was the point of that? Like, the creature was just gonna kill you. It was uncontrollable. It didn't make any sense. It's like he lost his mind. He just wants these superheroes dead. Like, it made no sense.
Yeah.
Like, everything just broke down. Like, there were so many plot holes that it just really bothered me. Like, and then we get to the end of the film.
Well, before we do that, as far as Doomsday is concerned, we all saw it coming because they ruined it in the trailers. If they hadn't, I think that would have been a nice surprise in the movie.
Yeah, it would have been interesting, but like you said, it's like they took pieces of Dark Knight Returns, they took pieces of the Death of Superman, which we'll get into. They took pieces of like all these different comic properties and just threw them in a pot and did, let's mix them up like gumbo. Like, it just and none of them truly delivered on their potential, and that's my problem with this movie. Like, there's good ideas there, but the way that they were executed was bad. It's like, why? You could have used Doomsday in another movie. You could have used something else as a threat in this movie.
Yep. Metallo would have been perfect.
Yeah, they could have used anything. They could have had Lex in a freaking suit, like, and take control of a Kryptonian suit or whatever the hell. I don't know.
Though I will give them props on one thing. That honestly, I'm impressed they had the balls to go with the Death of Superman story. Like, even back when we saw that trailer showing Doomsday into it, nobody thought that they were going to do the Death of Superman.
Yeah.
Like, that did not come up at all. Nobody even assumed that was going to happen. But they did it.
Yeah, it's just, like you said, they crammed so many movies. If we would have had Man of Steel 2, and then we have a certain thing that happens there. Then we have Man of Steel 3, and that's the Death of Superman. It would have made more sense. Like, it's just so many things crammed into one.
Now, the one thing about the Death of Superman, like, that moment kind of got me. I'm going to be honest. Seeing that, was like, oh, shit, they did that. Wow. Though what pissed me off about this is that the ending, where we're going through seeing the two funerals happening side by side, like, oh, that's cool. Seeing the black coffin with the silver Superman logo, awesome. I think that's brilliant. Very, very cool. And then the final, or before we even get to that, even seeing like Batman and Wonder Woman talking about bringing the characters together, and that line that I briefly mentioned earlier where Batman's going like, I failed him in life, but I won't fail him in death. I think that's Batman's redemption, where he's going to go back to that old Batman. He's going to try and be more like Superman, where he's not going to try and kill people. Unless, I guess, they're a terrorist and he can blow them through a wall, but never mind. But what pissed me off, the final scene of the movie, where they zoom down onto the coffin and the dirt, and you see it rise, where it's like, maybe he's not dead. I think... Yeah. Like, honestly, I loved... I enjoyed the movie, as I said, but that final scene kind of annoyed me, because I wish they had the balls to just end it with no reference of him coming back.
100%.
Like,
there were several times in the movie you thought the movie ended. Yeah. And then, no, we got 10 more minutes of this. Yeah. And it just kept going.
It didn't pull the Lord of the Rings, where it's like, one more scene, one more scene, one more scene. Like, if they just end it with him, like, say, no chance of coming back, and that's how they left the audience, and then when Justice League Part 1 rolls around and we do get that reveal of he's alive, it was just like, I forget what it is now that he goes through in that process. It's a state of Kryptonian revival where it looks like they're dead, but they're only healing. Something like that. And he pops up in the middle of Justice League, and it's not shown in any trailers or anything. You go into that movie, and bam, he's back. Like, that would have been awesome. But instead, they have to
like
tease it.
At the end of that movie, like, basically like what you're saying, like, we go into Justice League, everybody has formed, right? You got Batman, you got Wonder Woman, you got Flash, you got Aquaman, all of them. Darkseid shows up, they're getting their ass whooped. Then at the end, Superman comes out of nowhere. That would have been incredible, but no, they ruined it because he's alive now.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's probably my biggest beef with the movie, is that very final scene. And I love the Death of Superman story, the death and return of Superman. But what it was really lacking here, especially at the funeral scene, because in the comics,
you didn't have that emotional connection to the character. There was so much stuff happening in the movie.
Yeah.
You cared more about Batman than you cared about Superman.
The one moment where you care about Superman is before he goes to stab Doomsday. He talks to Lois, saying like, "You're my world. This is my world."
Yeah.
That was the one big connection you had with him, and it was disappointing. And like the funeral, you have Batman there and Wonder Woman. They barely know the guy, so it's. Let's be honest. Batman... there's a scene we'll talk about in a second, which I really enjoyed as well with Batman. But there's no emotional connection for them as well, really, because they don't really know him. In the Death of Superman storyline, like, he's been a hero for so long. The Justice League has already been formed. And when he dies, it's an impactful moment, not only for the world, but for the rest of the heroes. Like, they feel it. And there's none of that here. And now that they've already done this, we're not going to see that payoff in the future.
They fuck. I don't like cursing,
but they blew their load too fast.
They fucked up their cinematic universe, in my opinion, because they blew their load all over this film, right?
Mm-hmm.
All over it. Like, they did Dark Knight Returns. That could have been its own damn standalone movie.
Yep.
They did, like an introduction to Wonder Woman, the introduction to the DC Universe and the Justice League, the death of Superman. Like, they just crammed so much stuff into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't very cohesive.
Yeah.
They blew their load. If they would have done like what Marvel's doing, like I tweeted out after I saw the movie, I'm like, I'd much rather be watching just watching that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, I want to watch the Marvel movies now. I'll go watch Daredevil. Go watch something that's well crafted, well thought out, well planned out. This just seemed like it was reactionary to what Marvel has been doing.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. And just like a side note, like Civil War is coming up, and people are so invested and so emotionally ready for that movie because we've had all of this build up. We've come to learn and love.
This is what, phase 3, right?
Yeah.
This is like phase 3 or 4 of the Marvel movies, so you have all those years.
Yeah, you have a connection to the characters.
Iron Man.
And seeing Iron Man and Captain America fight, you're like, oh shit, like, you're emotionally invested. This is two friends of yours fighting, and like, please don't fight. You shouldn't fight. But we're not getting that connection here with this movie. They're too scared and wanting to catch up. Like, they're not.
They want to cash in on. They want to cash in on the movie craze right now, and it's not working. Iron Man, the original, I just looked it up, came out in 2008. We're in 2016. 8 years later, this is when we're getting Civil War. This is like if Iron Man came out 2008. In 2010, we would have got Civil War. Yeah. No, that doesn't make sense. It frustrates me because, like I said, there's good stuff in the film. I'm super excited to see Ben Affleck in his own standalone film, especially that he's directing it. That's probably one of the most exciting thing coming out of this movie. I'm not excited for Justice League. Justice League sounds like it's going to be a goddamn mess. I'm not excited for Green Lantern because I want to be excited for Green Lantern. That'd be a badass space adventure with all the different Green Lantern corps and all that.
I would say, Green Lantern's probably going to be good because they're probably not going to use him till then, so he's probably going to be safe.
Oh man, it's so frustrating.
But I will say, like, watching this movie has me now excited for the Wonder Woman movie next year. Like, I am ready to see her in her own movie. Like, that'll be cool. The little glimpses of badassery that we got for her, because we saw the gauntlets being used in the correct way. We saw, like, her sword and shield. Like, she's an awesome fighter. And the whip, like, that one scene with the whip,
with the lasso.
I was sat back, I was like, that's awesome. That is so fucking cool. And if the movie did one great thing, it turned me around on Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman and has me excited for that standalone movie.
Like I said, there's good pieces in place. There's good actors in place. It's just the script, the pacing, the writing. It's all... It just doesn't make sense. Like, everything's so rushed. This should have been... This should have just been Man of Steel 2 and Clark Kent Superman, he had to deal with the repercussions of the things that took place in Man of Steel, and we saw that character build, which it starts. There's portions of the movies that are well done that he's conflicted, like, and he goes visits his mom in Kansas, and he's conflicted, like, am I their hero? Should I be their hero? Like, there's some good emotional stuff, but it's just very overlooked. Like, they just glance at it, pass by it, like nothing happened. Like, this should have been the movie where he starts questioning himself. And it should have been a dramatic piece just about Superman, and he could have went up against Lex Luthor. We did not need Batman and Wonder Woman in this film. It could have just been such a simple story that's been told so many times. Lex against Superman. Because Lex hates him because he's an alien, because he's an outsider, because he's all powerful. Just, it's been done in comics so many times, and it makes sense. It's been done in the previous Superman movies. Like, it just makes sense, and build that anchor with Man of Steel 2, where people start to care more about Superman. Then Man of Steel 3, that's when you do the death of Superman, or you introduce these other characters, or whatever the case may be, but they're just rushing everything.
And the tone is the other thing. Like, I have no problem with dark and gritty. Daredevil Season 2, as we talked about on the last episode. Fucking love it. It's good, dark and gritty. Here, they probably go a little too far, especially with Superman.
They go way too dark.
I'm fine with what they did with Batman. I think the tone works perfectly for him.
It works for Batman, but this is Superman. He's supposed to be a lot more uplifting.
He is supposed to be the brightest superhero in comics. Like, the most colorful, the most inspiring, the most hopeful.
Yeah, it's so drab and dreary. Like, I always found it funny when people would complain about the grain that Zack Snyder would put in his films. This is a movie where it started to annoy me. Like, I really haven't had a problem in the past, but just at the beginning, I'm in the movie theater, I'm watching it in IMAX 3D. There's a lot of parts that the film just doesn't look clear and crisp. Like, there was parts when Bruce Wayne was talking to Alfred, and I'm like, this is so grainy. It's like they just put a bunch of sludge on the lens. Like, Daredevil's gritty, but it's crisp and clear. It's not like this gray, drab, whatever, After Effects they put on the foot. It's just so frustrating. After this movie's gonna kill at the box office, regardless of whether we think it's garbage or not. It's Batman v Superman. The marketing's gonna work. There was people cheering in the theater when I went to see it. I wasn't cheering at all. I was just mad. I was like, no. Like, I wanted to get up and scream, but there was people cheering. The casual fan is gonna eat this up. They're gonna love it. It's like Transformers. They made the Transformers of the damn comic book genre. Like, it's gonna eat up, it's gonna make money, but they need to get Zack Snyder out of here, and I don't know how they're letting him do this. Like, I know there's smart people at DC, like Jeff Johns. Like, he just let him do the damn movie. Like, he knows what he's doing. He rebooted Green Lantern. He was working on all the New 52 stuff. Like, just do this in house or with people that know what the hell they're doing.
Like, there's so much they could do. Like, they need. I will use another comic book movie that we've gotten this year. The first one that we got, Daredevil. Sorry, not Daredevil. Deadpool. Jesus, I'm all frustrated now. With Deadpool, where you had an actor who loves the character, and I think that's why Batman works so well, because you could tell that Ben Affleck really does love Batman, and you see now where Kevin Smith has always said, like, this guy has loved Batman since he was 12 years old, and that shows. You need a director like Tim Miller, who fucking loved Deadpool and wanted to bring him to life and loved the source material. And that's where DC is, I think, really at fault here. It's where they're taking their characters, or Warner Brother and DC, they're taking their characters that they love, but they're putting that twist onto them, and that twist isn't working. Whereas, God, I am a Marvel fanboy, and this is going to sound really fanboyish, but where Marvel is just, they're going all in. It's like, we're not going to change who these characters are. Yes, you might see slight changes into them, like the Mandarin, but even then there's a real Mandarin existing. But they're the comic book characters. Captain America is like he is in the comics. The Punisher, as we saw in the Daredevil season 2, that was the Punisher. Like, they're not drifting away from like what makes these characters these characters. They're showing the love and respect for them and bringing them from the comic book page to the big screen. Honestly, with love and respect. Yep. Whereas DC, they
love
want
and respect. Easy allies.
Where they want to, DC wants to change things up, and Warner Brothers wants to change this up. Hey, look how Batman's now different, or look how Superman's more dark and gritty and existing in real life. Like, no, don't do that. Like,
yeah, and it's funny because I really liked Man of Steel.
I did
and
too.
A lot of people hated that movie. I think Man of Steel is a better movie than this because it's a lot more cohesive, a lot better paced, makes a lot more sense for the universe that we're trying to go with. It's just like
again, it goes back to that argument where there's too much crammed into this movie. Like, it's enjoyable. Like, from my point of perspective, it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
I highly recommend people go out and watch it. I think it is well worth the price of a ticket to go see in a theater and experience it for yourself. Like, visually, some of the acting, you will see the very best Batman ever on the big screen. And the fight scenes are incredible, well done. But
you know what's funny is that with all these movies coming out and being disappointments, like, it's just making me think like The Dark Knight was a fluke. Like, it was just the right place, the right time, the right people, right cast. Because Batman Begins, enjoyable. Okay,
the best one.
I got my issues with that. Disagree, but then Dark Knight came out. That movie's not really about Batman. It's more about the Joker
movie. Yeah,
it's a Joker movie. That's why it's my favorite. And then Dark Knight Rises was just complete trash. There's nothing redeemable about that movie, in my opinion. It's just terrible. It had so many plot holes. Then they did Man of Steel. I'm like, okay, I understand this direction. They want to do something that's Nolan-esque. I believe he was one of the producers behind the original Man of Steel. I don't think he had anything to do with Batman v Superman. So I thought they had a good foundation with that movie, but like you said, they just crammed so much stuff into this movie. It's gonna be nowhere near my top 5 movies of this year. It's like you said, if you just tune out and go in there, want to see an interesting action film, at least for the last like hour and a half, because the first hour really drags. Like, that's the thing. I can't even recommend it to like the general public, because I went to see it with my little brother and my sister, right? And I kept looking to the side, and my brother was checking his phone. He was just zoned out, like, because there's so many parts that it's just so drab and dreary and boring, and nothing's going on, and it's the pace. Like, the last like section is super action packed. It's interesting. The fight between Batman and Superman, the fight between Doomsday, Wonder Woman, Batman, excuse me, and Superman. Yeah. That stuff is interesting, but
and the fight with Batman and the Luthor guards, who has Martha held captive.
Oh, that was badass.
That was
something we didn't
talk Knight.
About, but that was definitely inspired by the Arkham games.
And
but that's another thing. It's like, this guy almost killed you, and you're gonna let him go rescue your mother? Superman would have got in and out way quicker than Batman would have ever.
Yeah, but at the same time, he had to go and deal with Lex. So
it's like, come on, it doesn't make it.
And
it's just how everything switched. Like, they hated each other, now they're best friends.
Yep, right away.
Like, we were making fun of the movie going into it. Everybody saying, it's a fight between them. We were like, yeah, they're gonna make up by the end. But we didn't realize it was gonna be this stupid. Like, it was just gonna be like 2 seconds. Like,
I kind of like that moment where he did say Martha. Batman's confused and then learns that Superman's mother is named Martha, and you could kind of see it where Batman's thinking, well, I couldn't save my own mother. Here's a chance for me to earn a little bit of redemption for that, and I can go save his mother. Like, no other mothers are going to die tonight, as he says there.
Yeah.
And I did like that little promise that he makes and then takes off to go do that. Lois tossing the spear in water, that was complete
No,
What?
that was really stupid. Like, why?
Yeah.
Is Aquaman gonna come out
That's
of the water?
what I started thinking. I was like, is Aquaman going to pop up here now? But
with the trident.
fuck. He's gonna pop up,
Gonna
say,
pop up with
believe
the-
that, and go.
He's gonna come out the damn arena. He's
Oh,
gonna come out walking out of Lex Corp.
What was the other part?
Oh my
man.
god. That's classic.
Back to what I was going.
Roman Reigns is in the movie.
Back to what I was going to
He
say.
just swims off after he smashes the camera. He's like, "Believe that."
Oh,
He just
fuck.
swims off.
And I have broken Izzy.
He does the yell. He smashes the camera.
What was
That's
it?
what. I'm dying, dog. That's what they're all fighting, and all I hear is. It stops the fight.
He comes in with his Superman punch. Superman's like, "What the fuck, bro?"
He's like, "That's my move. You're stealing my gimmick." Oh man,
fuck.
I'm crying over here. That's hilarious.
What I was going to say was the fight where Batman's taking out those Luthor guards. Awesome, badass. I did like the moment where he breaks into the room. The guy's there with the flamethrower, and guy's like, you don't drop it. I'm going to like roast her." And Batman's like, "All right." He shoots the tank to explode it. That guy's dead. He jumps down on the Martha and protects her. Then afterwards, he's like, "Don't worry, I'm a friend of your son." I thought this was a genuinely funny moment where she's like, yeah, I figured the cape, and he's like, "Yeah." It's like more of that.
And the stuff with Alfred was funny too. It's
Yeah.
like they just needed more of a balance, like the Marvel movies do, and the TV shows. Even as gritty as Daredevil is, they have some funny moments with like Foggy, right?
Yep.
Like comedic moments, but.
And at the end of this, like, if you're not a fan of like how DC's doing their movies, watch the TV shows because they're so good and so true to the comics. Like, Flash right now is probably it is the best comic book show on TV right now. Like, if you're not a fan of the tone that they're going with in the movies, watch the TV shows. Arrow, you kind of get a little bit more of that tone, not as much. There's still more humor, more comic booky moments into it. But yeah, like if you're not a fan of the movies, the TV shows, definitely watch those, or even the animated stuff. But yeah, at the end here, like, I enjoy it. I think it's worth a watch. I'm probably going to go see it again because I want to watch it again just to get another perspective onto it.
Yeah.
Maybe go in and watch it when I'm not as tired or anything. So yeah, like overall, I'm happy with it. I'm fine with it. I think it's a pass. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's worth excuse me. Still cracking up about Roman Reigns. I think it's worth a watch, definitely. Not in the theaters. I'd say just wait till it comes out on DVD, Blu-ray. Give it a rental. Check it out that way. Because tickets are expensive, especially if you want to see it like in IMAX 3D and all that. So it's worth a watch if you're a fan of comic book media. Just as a fan, just to see their take on it. There's some good moments in there, like I said. Overall, I'm still very disappointed because they had the cast there for the most part, except for Jesse Eisenberg. I thought everybody else was a cast, and then the script was, and the pacing and all that was just, I don't know. And we'll see what happens. Like moving forward with Justice League. Maybe they disregard all the stuff that happened, or they reboot their universe, or I don't think they're going to do that at this point. They have so much invested in this movie. It's going to do gangbusters at the box office because it's Batman and it's Superman, first time on screen. It's just disappointing that we didn't get something that we could be like, oh, this is why we're fans of Batman. This is why we're fans of Superman. Like, there's elements in there, but it's not like something you could show a casual person and be like, here, this is something I can be proud of in terms of like a comic book fan, right? And a nerd, like one of those films that you watch and you're like, okay, they did a really good job. But
yeah, like coming out of Guardians of the Galaxy and going, you know what? That was probably the best movie I've ever seen.
Coming out of that, coming out of Deadpool, coming out of Captain America excuse me, not yet. Not yet. I'm sure it'll be damn good, but Captain America Winter Soldier, like these are, real good movies that they're doing, and DC needs to figure out what they're trying to do. They keep going with this dark and
hopefully, maybe they hopefully Suicide Squad redeems them.
Yeah, Suicide Squad looks to be the different one. It still looks, dark, but it seems to be the outlier. It looks like the Guardians of this particular universe.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's good. I know Batman's going to be in that. The Joker's in that. We'll find out maybe some more backstory of, is this a new Joker? I was talking to my friend about it. I'm like, Batman probably killed the old Joker because if he killed Robin and he lost his mind and he's killing all these people, he definitely killed the Joker, and maybe this Joker is a new one, or like a apprentice of the Joker or something. I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see. I'm not, like, I know a lot of people are excited for Suicide Squad. I got my reservations, but we'll see. I'm more excited for Ninja Turtles than this movie. You thought I ever say that? More excited for Ninja Turtles than the other Marvel movies, and I'm a fan of like Batman. But yeah, that's it. After 50 minutes of rambling, I think it was a pretty damn good show. We shared our thoughts. Let us know in the comment section down below.
I guess we should give it a rating.
A rating?
Yeah.
Did we
we
figure
never
out the
figured
rating
it
yet?
No, we never. Let's just steal from the Weekly Planet again.
Okay. What was it? Best movie ever?
Best movie ever, worst movie ever, or it's just a movie?
I'd go with it's just a movie.
For me, on that scale, I did enjoy it a lot of the movie, a lot more than you did. So I gotta give it a best movie ever. So
all right,
it's enjoyable, worth a watch.
Do like Angry Joe, 4 out of 10.
Now it's a 6 out of 10.
It just keeps changing.
Believe that.
Oh man! All right, guys. Let us know in the comment section down below what are your thoughts of Batman v Superman v Roman Reigns. That'll be the next one. But let us know your thoughts on the movie. If you liked it, you didn't like it, you were indifferent, you thought it was just a movie, your favorite comic book movie, the worst comic book movie, whatever it may be. For Lord X, I'm Izzy, aka Israel Protector 89, and we are changing the channel.